On Talking with Dr. Donna, we focus on 4 pillars of health to help build a generational health network to end the cycle of premature death in the Black community. I created Talking with Dr. Donna as a way to educate as many people as possible and give accurate information from a trusted physician. Go to Talking with Dr. Donna and get accurate information. And then share that information with your family and friends. And if you like what you see, like my channel and subscribe. Remember, every Thursday, keep your appointment with Dr. Donna. Hey, good evening, everyone. Hi, so good to see you out there. Thank you so much for keeping your appointment with the doctor. You know, every Thursday at 6:30 p.m., we are here with Talking with Dr. Donna. And so I thank you for keeping your appointment. As a reminder, the ways that you can follow me, you can go to my Instagram page, you can go to my Facebook page, and you can follow me. If you have not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, go on over to my YouTube channel and subscribe, and then hit that bell icon and let me know, and that way you'll know. Now I will though, already know, but you will know that we are live. So every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. you can keep your appointment. All right, so tonight we are going to talk about some need to knows. These are some things that we always, hi Carmen, keeping your appointment, awesome. We want to make sure that you stay in the know. So this week we're going to continue to bring you our need to knows. So let's get started. Remember, if you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section in the chat. We have our wonderful community health workers, Elisita and Bridget, monitoring the line, and they will let me know if you have a question. So thank you for being here. Let's get started with what you need to know for this week. So the first thing that you need to know we're going to talk about is COVID. Where are we now? So last week we talked about our cases and how our cases are still elevating. There's still people getting COVID out there. There's still people dying from COVID. And a lot of you, actually a couple of you asked to talk about the new variant that you were starting to hear some information about. So I thought it was important to start with what the variant is now that's causing the majority of our infections. So that variant is the XBB.1.5, Omicron. Okay, so we talked about Omicron and its rise to fame and how now it is the most common variant. But there's a new variant in town that we talked about also that we know we're going to continue to have variants because the reason why it's going to continue to change seems it doesn't want to die, so things are going to change. So we have a new variant out there, and that new variant is XBB.1.16, and that's the one that you're hearing now called the Arcturus, okay? However, even though it is a variant, it is considered a variant of interest. So if you recall way back when we were talking a lot about COVID variants and what is a variant of interest versus a variant of concern. And so variant XBB.1.6, Arcturus, is a variant of interest. It has not quite hit the United States with big, robust numbers. We're seeing it really much more worldwide and mostly in India. But as we saw in the pandemic, what happens in another part of the world can eventually make its way to the United States. So we definitely want to keep an eye on this new variant, Arcturus. It is a little bit different in terms of the symptoms that it causes. It causes some of those lower symptoms that COVID normally could cause, but we didn't really see. So this new variant, it is highly transmissible, which means you can get it pretty easily, but it doesn't mean that it's more deadly. So that's always good news. If you can transmit it, but it's not going to kill you, like we had when the Omicron variant was first out. It was very deadly, but we're seeing that you can transmit it, but it's pretty mild in its symptoms. Of course, if you have other medical issues, then any type of infection with COVID, if any of the variants, is going to put you at a higher risk. But this one is basically causing some of the lower symptoms that we could see in the original COVID variant, but didn't see as frequently. Now we're seeing it a little bit more frequently in this particular variant. So one of those is sore throat and fever. We're starting to see a little bit more of those symptoms with this variant. And then pink eye. Now, pink eye is something that we haven't really seen in many of the other COVID variants as a prominent symptom, but it's always been there. You've always been able to maybe have pink eye, but this particular COVID variant has pink eye as more of a prominent symptom. So it's difficult now, right? Because we're going into seasons with pollen. Everybody has their allergies flaring up. Your eye might be itchy, scratchy, and red because of allergies. And now we're like, is it allergies or is it COVID, right? So this is why it's important that you still have a supply of tests at home so that you can test yourself if you do develop pink eye, particularly if you develop pink eye with a sore throat and a fever, then you want to think maybe this could be COVID and get tested, okay? So looking at the variants and how they are over time have changed, because I think it's important that you see where we are with this current variant and where we have been, okay? And sorry, go back one slide. So the reason why we're continuing to talk about COVID and why it is important to avoid getting COVID, again, is because COVID continues to cause health complications. And studies are showing that if you have COVID more than once, that it increases your risk of health complications. So why are we like, don't want to get COVID, don't want to get these infections? Because we know COVID has an increased risk of stroke, increased risk of heart disease. It has really almost like a 200% increased risk in developing acute diabetes, digestive and kidney disorders, and then long-term what we call brain fog, or is difficulty focusing and difficulty thinking. And then long COVID or long hauler COVID or long haul COVID. All of those basically are saying that COVID remains in your system and continues to cause infection months to years after you have had COVID. And that you can either continue with headaches, brain fogs. Some people are continuing to have difficulty with their muscles and being able to walk. So this is why you want to avoid getting COVID, because we have no idea who is going to get these health complications and get seriously ill and have to be hospitalized, and who is going to have a mild case, right? All right, so now let's look at the variants. So I get to use my trusty handy dandy pointer tonight. Yes. The red tip. Okay, so if we look at our COVID variants starting in January up to where we are now, we see that at first we had the Bs and BQs, right? Those are the original that was the original strains of COVID. Then we developed Omicron variant. And it started off very slowly, that's the blue line. And then over time, we started seeing that this Omicron basically became the predominant strain. It started taking over all of the original kind of earlier strains of COVID, became less and less prominent. And what became more and more prominent, now I'm in two, more and more prominent are the strains of Omicron, right? And now we're starting to see a little bit, and that's this purple, we're starting to see the newest Omicron variant, Omicron cousin, the XBB.1.6. The Arcturus is starting to gain a little bit more. But by far, still, the most common variant is this XBB.1.5, which is the Omicron. So we are still by far in getting this Omicron variant. And because this new variant is just a simple cousin of Omicron, our vaccines are still going to work, okay? So next slide. That's just kind of looking up close so you can get a good picture of what we're doing right now here in the middle of April. We're still seeing the Omicron, original Omicron, being the primary variant that's causing infection. So last week we talked about the FDA and their new recommendations for vaccines and for boosters. And basically the bottom line recommendation is that you should get the bivalent booster, right? And the reason you're getting the bivalent booster is because it's going to give you It's going to give you this variant, the XBB.1.5, right? The most common one, but it still also is protective against those original variants. So that's why it's called bivalent. Okay, you can go to the next slide. That one, so basically the new recommendation is the bivalent booster should be the only vaccine that you're thinking about getting for COVID at this point. If you've never had the COVID vaccine, bivalent booster is what you want to get. If you've already had your primary series and you need a booster shot, it's the bivalent booster that you're going to get. The FDA just recommended, again, if you're over the age of 65 or if you're immunocompromised, that you should get an additional bivalent booster. If you got that booster in September, which most of us did, like the fall of last year, that booster should carry you through, right? Carry all of us through who are not older than 65 and who are not immunocompromised. We're going to remain without getting additional booster. But if you're over the age of 65 or you are immunocompromised, you can get an additional bivalent booster to reboost up your antibodies response so that if you get COVID, your body will be immediately ready to fight that infection. Okay? So that's our first need to know. All right, our second need to know is April is National Stress Awareness Month. Now, we talk about stress all of the time. All of us have stress. Our bodies react to stress, and some of the stress that our bodies react to is good stress, right? Tells you, hey, that thing over there is about to hurt you, run away, right? Fight or flight. That's a stress response, and we want that response. But what we don't want is for us to be always in that fight or flight mode and having things, what we call chronic stress, because chronic stress is extremely unhealthy. And many of us don't even really recognize that we're under stress because we always operate in stress, that it's difficult for us to recognize when we do have stress. So tonight, we're going to talk about some ways that you can recognize when you have stress, ways to relieve those stress, and some resources to help you if you're feeling overly stressed. All right, so there's lots of signs and ways in which you can tell if your body is chronically stressed. I'm going to tell you a little story because I think we as adults feel like the only people who get stressed are us. But I want you to also recognize that our kids are stressed as well. Last week, there was, at my daughter's school, a teenager who attempted suicide. And my son has a math tutor, and one of the schools in which he tutors, 2 teenagers attempted suicide last week. It's hitting our kids just like it's hitting us. In my own son, last week, or a couple days ago actually, he was very angry and kind of all over the place and kind of really teary. And I'm like, why are you crying? He's like, I don't know. And I realized that he was stressed. He has a book report that's due tomorrow. He still had lots of math homework. He was still doing his basketball practice. That's a lot on our kids. So our kids feel stressed just like we do. So they're going to get how they reduce stress and how they handle stress. They're going to look at us. So we as adults need to model what it looks like to not have so much stress in our lives. How can you tell if you're stressed? If you have difficulty sleeping, that's probably one of the hallmark signs. You're just not sleeping well. You have this nervous energy where you're just like going. Or on the flip side, you don't want to do anything that you normally want to do or like to do. You just have no pleasure in any of those things. You might be eating differently and noticing that you're eating more sugary foods, more junk food. Maybe you're drinking a little bit more alcohol than you're used to drinking. That's the signs of stress. Maybe you're having severe fatigue. No matter how long you sleep, you still wake up in the morning and you're feeling sleepy or tired. Maybe you are irritable or impatient with your coworkers. Don't ask me any questions. No, I will not do that assignment. Maybe you're snappy or more irritable with your children or with your spouse or with your roommates. So all of these are signs that says, hey, you've got some stress, and now let's figure out how we can relieve some of this stress. So here are some of the suggestions I have to help you relieve some stress, things that I do for myself and recommend that you try to do too. One of the ways to relieve our stress is limiting screen time. I know you're on your screen right now. You don't limit it on Thursdays at 6:30, but limit it other times of the week. So, you can get on these screens. You get on those reels on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and you can just go, because they automatically come and you're stuck. And before you know it, an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours have passed and you're just on the screen. All of that activity. For our children, it's even worse because not only are they looking at it and it's causing anxiety and stress, but they're also comparing themselves against this person who, for just that 1 minute and 30 seconds, seems perfect. But you have no idea what's happening in their lives any of the other minutes of their lives. So limit your screen time. Try to do things that help you to relax. Diffuse some aromatherapy. Use scents like lavender or rose or orange to help energize you or calm you, whichever you're sort of needing in the moment. Decrease your caffeine intake. So if you're a coffee drinker or a high caffeine tea drinker, yes, there's teas that have high caffeine, almost as much caffeine in tea as you can find in coffee. So if you're feeling like you're just anxious and jittery, decrease the caffeine intake. Learn how to say no, Dr. Donna. Learn how to say no. Learn how to say no. I know you have a lot of things on your plate. People might be coming to you for many different things, but learn how to say no and recognize that that no is a complete sentence. It's a complete sentence. You don't have to say anything else after your no, just no. Spend time with people who make you laugh, make you happy. Now, sometimes that might not be your family in that particular moment, and it's okay. Maybe you just need to go outside, take a walk. If you have a pet, hang out with your pet. Spend some time with them. Spend some time with friends who make you laugh and family members who make you happy. And then finally, spending some time in nature. It's always great to be outdoors, getting some fresh air, getting some sunlight hitting your body, walking along amongst the trees and just marveling at God's beautiful creations will help you to relieve some stress, right? If you still find out that you're stressed and you still find that you need some additional help, that's okay. That's great that you recognize that you need a little bit more than aromatherapy and spending time with people that make you laugh. So there's some resources that we're going to give you. There's a website that you can go to help find therapy, particularly for African American women. That website is therapyforblackgirls.com. You can put in your zip code. Most of that therapy might be telemedicine. It may not be here person to person, but you can get a therapist. And that's okay. If you need that therapy, please do get it. Don't think about it in any other way besides it's a part of your body that needs help. Just like if your heart needed help, you take heart medicine, right? High blood pressure, you take high blood pressure medicine. Diabetes, you take medicine. If you need therapy, you get therapy, okay? Also, there is the crisis line, 988. If you feel like you're on the verge of hurting yourself, or you know someone who's on the verge of hurting themselves, if they've been talking about suicide, they've been talking about somehow leaving this earth, please reach out, 988. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they have trained counselors to be able to talk to you or your family member or your friend to help make them understand that suicide is not the answer. And finally, there's a free app. It's called Blackfulness. And I have this app, and I shared it with my kids, and I actually really like it because it's an app that does really short meditations, but they do it kind of in a Black voice, if that makes sense, right? And so you have male and females that you can choose from, and it's a free app. You can get it from the App Store, Blackfulness app, all right? Bottom line is, you're not alone. All of us have stress, but we want to make sure that we don't continue to live in stress, but we find ways in which to experience our stress and then relieve our stress. All right, our third need to know. Our third need to know is that April is National Minority Health Month. April has a lot of things going on, huh? This year, the theme is Better Health Through Better Understanding, and it's focusing in on health literacy. And we're going to talk about this in some subsequent Talking with Dr. Donna's, but I wanted to just introduce this to you tonight to kind of help you think about, do you feel like you're literate in terms of health? Can you read a health information and understand it and be able to say it back? When you go to the doctor and the doctor is talking to you about your condition and your medications and your treatments, are you understanding that? And studies show that only about 14% of the United States had proficient health literacy. Now, in our community, that's probably even less. So we're going to talk about what it means to have health literacy. If you don't understand what your doctor is talking to you about, I want to empower you to ask the question again. Can you explain that to me again? I don't quite understand. Do you have any information that you can give to me that I can read about my condition? Could you write down what is the condition that I have so that I can go back home and look at it and read it and tell my family members what it is? Can you write down the new medication? So making sure that you're advocating for yourself and recognizing that health literacy is an important part of your health. We're going to talk about that a lot more. All right? Okay, so any questions? I don't see any questions on my... No questions. All right. So every month we do our food of the month. We know our food of the month this month is peaches. And we've talked about peaches and ways in which I want to see you guys eating your peaches and posting your recipes on Facebook. As a reminder, the reason why we want you to eat peaches is because it's rich in vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, and it's good for your heart, good for your gut, good for your brain, good for helping your skin look nice and pretty and youthful. All of those things are health benefits of peaches. So if you haven't already made some things and shared it to our page, please do that. Go this week, get some peaches, share with us how you're eating our food of the month. All right? All right, as always, whenever we have a show, oh, you have a question?
Yes.
Is it from Sita?
I think this is. Do all therapists use the same techniques?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. Do all therapists use the same techniques? No, I think yes and no. There are some sort of basic techniques like breathing, meditation that most therapists might recommend, but everyone kind of has their own style, and depending on what you are saying works for you, those are the recommendations that your therapist is going to give. Maybe you don't like the outdoors, or maybe you have severe allergies and you don't like being amongst trees. Well, there's some other things that you can do to help relieve some of your stress. So great question. Everyone is different, so everybody's, the way they're going to relax could potentially be different. All of them are great as long as you practice them and they work for you. All right. All right, so remember to,
One more question.
one more, okay.
Should your therapist be a part of our dream team?
Yes. Yes, so I'm talking with Dr. Donna, I always talk about having a dream team, right? These are the professionals around you that are going to help to make sure that you are healthy. So your primary care doctor, your dentist, your eye doctor, your specialist, right? And if you have the need for a therapist, your therapist should absolutely be a part of your dream team, because you want your therapist to be on your team, making recommendations based on you in particular, so that you can make sure you can take advantage of what your therapist is suggesting, and that way it will actually work to help to relieve your stress. So yes, your therapist is absolutely a part of your dream team.
One more question.
One more, okay.
Judy Bias, what was that phone line you can call again?
Okay, so 988. That is the crisis line, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just dial 988 and you will get a trained counselor on the line that you can talk to. So 988. All right, any other questions?
No other questions.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you once again for keeping your appointment. Remember to amplify this message. What you're learning tonight, you have to amplify, which means that you have to share it with your family, share it with your friends, share it with your coworkers, so that everyone has the ability to live and be thriving in life, right? That's what we're about. Generational health. Particularly, I want you to share this message of stress and stress relief with your children or your nieces and nephews, anyone younger than you, to talk about stress being normal and needing to relieve that stress. And when you can't relieve that stress, it's okay to seek therapy, help from somebody who can help you to relieve that stress. All right? All right, well, thanks for keeping your appointment tonight. We're talking with Dr. Donna. As always, every Thursday at 6:30 p.m., you can join and keep your appointment with the doctor. Tomorrow afternoon, I am going to be a guest on a show, I Love Curls. So put this on your calendar, show it on your Facebook page. I Love Curls. Can you put that flyer up? And go to Facebook and join us. I think it's at 3 p.m. I'm going to be on with I Love Curls with Joy Truth McGowan, who is the owner and founder of I Love Curls, because I do love curls. I love curls, and you should love curls too. We're going to talk about the importance of health in your hair, in your body. We're going to talk about what you can do. So there you go, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Curl Chat on Instagram Live with me and Joy Truth with I Love Curls. All right, so join tomorrow, 5 p.m. Instagram Live. All right, thanks again for keeping your appointment. Next week, we have a guest. We're going to talk about prostate cancer. So get all of your brothers, nephews, uncles, fathers, all the men in your life, get them to keep their appointment next week because we have Dr. Langford coming in to talk about prostate cancer. All right? Thanks again for keeping your appointment, and as always, take good care of yourself and your loved ones. See you next week. On Talking with Dr. Donna, we focus on 4 pillars of health to help build a generational health network to end the cycle of premature death in the Black community. I created Talking with Dr. Donna as a way to educate as many people as possible and give accurate information from a trusted physician. Go to Talking with Dr. Donna and get accurate information. And then share that information with your family and friends. And if you like what you see, like my channel and subscribe. Remember, every Thursday, keep your appointment with